Better late than never. What's going on, YouTube fam? Musaki from the Chaldea Gurus here. And today we're finally going to talk about the top SSRs of 2022 and which ones you should roll for. Now, before we get started with this video, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for this video, Buy-E. That's right, we are once again sponsored by this wonderful partner, and I'll be happy to tell you what they're all about. They're essentially a proxy shipping service. If you ever wanted something from Japan, but just don't have the means to do so, no problem. This website will allow you to actually go to any of the Japanese websites listed here, whether it be Yahoo, eBay, any of their local places. You can get whatever you want. You can get figures, you can get model kits, you can get food. You can get a whole bunch of things shipped to you in one package directly from Buy-E. And you can go ahead and get whatever you want. And right now, financially, times are hard for a lot of people. Our friends at Buy-E actually gave us a sweet little discount. If you go ahead and click the link down below in the description and in the pinned comment, you'll actually be able to get 2,000 yen off of your first purchase. That's right, $20 off your first purchase. That is a steal. So, you curious to try it out? Well, if you are, definitely click that link down below and let me know down in the comments what you guys are gonna pick up. But back to the video. First servant I want to talk about is going to be 5-star foreigner Voyager. That's right, this little internet kid, or I guess this little satellite that could, is actually a very good unit. They're a quick-based foreigner that excels in farming, especially if you have Scotty. Their banner actually comes out in the middle of May, and they have very few rate ups. First skill, Voyager of the Stars, is a battery skill that charges his MP from 30 to 50%, and he gains self debuff immunity for 3 turns, as well as gaining 10 crit stars. So it's a crit bomb, an MP battery, and debuff immunity. Very good skill. Next up, Swing by A, which is grants self evasion for 1 turn, increases its own quick performance for 3 turns, and reduces one enemy's quick resistance for 3 turns. I like this a lot. While the evasion only lasts for 1 turn, the quick performance up and quick reduction is actually lasting for 3. So the problem with sometimes where you have to choose your protective evasive skill or either the powerful offensive skill, you don't have that here. You can pop the evade when you need it and still have 2 more turns after that to use that quick performance. And the percentage is not for nothing. It's 10 to 20% quick performance up and 10 to 20% quick resistance down. Pretty good. Third skill is targetable. It increases one ally's crit star absorption for 1 turn, increases part of critical damage, and increases part of critical attack chance resistance for 3 turns. I like the fact how you can choose who gets the crit star absorption and increasing critical party damage, though honestly, if he's going to be your damage dealer, you're going to choose him anyway, but I do like the versatility they're adding to him. And for the Noble Phantasm, it is a quick AoE Noble Phantasm that deals 150% extra damage with Sky attribute enemies, and also charges party MP by 20%, and then further charges MP gauges of living human allies by 10%. And for the trait living human allies, that's essentially going to be every single pseudo servant and demi servant in this game, which is this small section here. And on top of that, it increases MP damage for 1 turn when that activates first. So combining the MP damage that activates before Noble Phantasm with its quick performance up and quick reduction on the enemy, and the fact that he charges the entire party's MP gauge by 20%, which includes himself, that equals a very good refund. He's really gonna excel in those parties when you have Scotty, or if you're crazy and you have Miyu and you know someone else that has Miyu, you can do some degenerate combos with that as well. Voyager is a personal favorite of mine because I am a very big lover of quick, but that's not the only quick servant we're going to talk about today. The next big quick servant we're going to talk about is Ashiya Doman. He's going to be a 5-star limited alter ego, and he is insane. I do not like Ashiya Doman as a character, but I can understand that this man is pushed. Ridicule Cardiacs reduces all enemies' attack for 3 turns, reduces their defense for 3 turns, and inflicts the terror status. Also inflicts confusion status, which has a 30% chance to activate the debuff below every turn. When it activates, it also seals their skills, and it also inflicts curse 500 damage for 3 turns to them. That's a lot of crap. 10 to 20% attack lowering, 20 to 30% defense lowering, and even more so the chance to seal their skills 30 to 40%. That is such a loaded skill, but in farming applications, this is very good. This is gonna mean your attack's gonna hit a lot harder, and they're not gonna hit you as much if they somehow survive. Next skill, Dark Karma A. It grants self-gut status for 2 times over 5 turns. It also increases the critical damage of allies with the evil alignment or chaotic alignment for 3 turns. So that stacks. So if someone's chaotic evil, they're gonna get a total of either 60% critical damage up or 100% critical damage up. And that includes himself. So he is definitely going to get 100% crit damage, which is insane for some high difficulty content. And then we have Curse of Doman A++, which charges his own MP gauge by 50 to 80% and also increases the attack of allies with the evil alignment and the chaotic alignment, also further inflicting another set of curse for 5 turns to all enemies. We have 2 versions of curse in his skills, but on top of that, he can increase his own attack by 40% if you level this up. 50 to 80% MP gauge, that's really good. So that means you can have this skill at level 1 and you're still getting some good value here. He also has a boatload of passive skills that are gonna make his passive gameplay even better, as well as taking the fact that he can increase own MP generation rate when taking attacks by 20%. Yikes. So then let's talk about his Noble Phantasm. This is an AoE quick based Noble Phantasm in which it inflicts the curse status with 1000 damage for 5 turns to them. It has a 120% chance to instant kill them. Don't like that one too much. And also inflicts evil curse status for 5 turns to them, which increases curse damage. The amount of damage that this man is going to be doing is going to be insane, but the sheer variety and breadth of what his skills can do actually gives him play in harder contact as well. This is a unit that's going to work for farming if you have double Scotty, but he's also going to work just in general in harder content. So this is a very versatile unit, and you have until November to roll for him, because he comes out with the coming of Lost Boy 5.5. So definitely, if anything I said today about him piqued your interest, make sure you save, and please get yourself 1 copy of Ashiya Doman. But we're not done with Quick yet! No, there's still another servant that we can talk about that is absolutely fantastic. Though I will say, if you are new to FGO, this character is going to take a little bit of getting used to. And that is going to be Van Gogh, another foreigner, another limited 5-star foreigner. And boy, let me tell you, their skill set is very interesting. Let's dig into it right away. First skill, Void Space Fine Arts B+. Grants self-gut status for 1 time over 5 turns, and also 3 different variations of 500% chance to inflict curse with 100 damage for 10 turns to self, and it also charges own MP gauge per curse stack. What the ever-living crap is this? She demerits herself, and through the demerit she can actually gain more MP, specifically the curse stacks. So if you're just playing this on its own, just by itself, and you max out this skill, she's going to get 30% Noble Phantasm gauge from this skill on her own. Okay, but aside from that, she has guts, so that's not bad either. Works out just in case somehow she dies, but that's good. Next skill, the Yellow House A+, which is 150% chance to reduce all enemies' defense for 3 turns. It also reduces their quick resistance by 20% for 3 turns. It grants the entire party evasion for 1 attack or 3 turns, so she has 2 evasive moves. Recovers party HP by 300 every turn, but also has a 500% chance to inflict curse with 100% damage for 10 turns to the party. Once again, cursing and demeriting things, but this skill does a lot. It lowers the defense by 10 to 20% off rip, and on top of the quick resistance. So that's multiplicative there. Sounds nice, plus the fact everyone gets a party evade, and then you get some health that's gonna kind of counteract the curse. Like, at least for the first 5 turns, you're only gaining 200 HP, which isn't bad. It's honestly a very good skill, if not very wordy. Third skill, Soul of Water Channels EX. Increases 1 ally's attack for 3 turns and also increases their critical store absorption for 3 turns, but she gains self on attack activation buff for 3 turns. Remove own latest curse buff when attacking with quick cards. If successfully removing the buff, you increase your own attack by 10% for 3 turns. Absorb all enemies and party's curse to self as a demerit. Do we see what's happening here? Her whole deal is putting curse on as many people as possible. Enemies or party alike, and with this skill, she can absorb all of those curse stacks. And if she needs to remove them, she has an on attack buff that halves for 3 turns when you attack with quick cards, and she has 3 quick cards in her deck that will actually increase her attack by 10% for 3 turns. And just so we're keeping track, if we're putting curse on the entire party here, you can absorb all those curses onto yourself, so you have a total of 3 curses. And then you put this one to put 3 more curses on you, and you charge your MP to 60%. This is a very synergistic skill set that requires a very specific order in how you manage the skills. Keep that in mind. You can't be brain dead with this servant, but they're very powerful if you can exploit this. On top of the fact that with her passive, she can never kill herself with her curse damage. So she'll forever be at 1. And the fact that she has an evade and a guts, she has some ways to live in case she gets hit when she's hit real low. But let's talk about the Noble Phantasm, which has a 500% chance to inflict terror to all enemies 1 time for 3 turns. This is a 60% chance to activate, by the way, which is the highest terror status thus far. And also it increases the party's critical damage as a buff, and then further increases critical damage of existence outside the domain allies by 100% for 3 turns. And on top of that, you gain 10 crit stars every turn for 3 turns. It also increases party attacks for 3 turns. If it's overcharged level 1, that's 30% attack up. This is a very, very, very good unit when you're trying to deal with harder content. Is this an Arch Noble Phantasm? Yes, it is. But that doesn't change the fact that she's going to benefit from this quite a bit, especially if she is the only one. Plus, funny enough, she actually works very good with Voyager with this skill set. She works as a unit that can be your support, but also be a DPS, but also a debuffer, but also a buffer. So she is a lot of different things. And while her Noble Phantasm doesn't do damage, it is definitely something you want to bring versus harder content if you happen to grab yourself a copy. Now, when is this unit available to be picked up? That's going to be for the Imaginary Scramble event, which is Law Sport 4.5. That should also be coming in the month of October or November. Quick has some fantastic servants this year, and honestly, these 3 are so good. So if you want any one of them, now's the time. But not everyone is into Quick. Some people, when they see the red button, they want to do damage. So let's talk about some Buster servants that are really good that are coming out this year. And I really need to talk about Romulus-Quirinus Limited Lancer. That's right. All praise. This man is absolutely amazing, and we're going to talk about why. Let's get into his skills. First skill, Throne of Quirinus EX. It increases party's attacks for 3 turns, also increases the critical damage for 3 turns, and then further increases the critical damage of Roman allies for 3 turns. Also has a 500% chance to inflict the Roman trait debuff for 5 turns to all enemies. So literally, he's making his enemies Roman as well. As they say, when in Rome, do what the Romans do, and so far, Romulus is living that up. This is a very good skill. Let's talk about the next one. Apotheosis B grants self-invincibility for 2 attacks at 3 turns, and it charges on MP gauge, and also 10 critical stars. This is 20 to 30% for the Noble Phantasm gauge, a very good one, and allows him to loop in future strategies, especially if we have the Impend skill leveled up, so you have 20%. But let's move on to the third skill. 9 Lives Roma, slaying the 100 heads, Roman style A. Increases his own Buster performance for 3 turns, and also increases his own critical star absorption for 1 turn, and then gives himself this on attack debuff for 3 turns. Inflicts the Roman trait debuff for 5 turns to enemy when critical attack. He's very much focused on making his enemies Roman, even when he is attacking. But he has a critical star absorption, which his second skill gives him crit stars, and then even further increases the party's crit damage, and then even further damage of their allies, to a total of 50% crit damage to everyone, which he automatically fulfills. So this is very good, and once again, very synergistic. Now let's talk about why this Roman trait is going to come into play. By the way, he has his own unique divinity in which he increases his own damage and Buster performance. This is insane. The Noble Phantasm Pura Aspera ad Astra. Our arms cut a path across the universe. This is a Buster AoE Noble Phantasm that hits for 5 times, that deals 100% plus 20% times N extra damage to Roman enemies. Now, what does N mean? N stands for the Roman trait stack count, which is a maximum of 10 stacks. It inflicts the Roman trait debuff for 5 turns to them, and then grants the party the Roman trait. Also, increases the party's attack for 3 turns. He literally attacks you by building Rome on top of your corpses. Dead or alive, you're Roman when it comes to him. So with all of this Roman trait giving in his skill set, with the first skill being able to make sure everyone has 1 layer of Roman trait, to his third skill on his attacking for 3 turns, inflicts the Roman debuff again when critical attacking, which with the critical absorption he'll be doing, and on top of that he's gaining 10 crit stars for 3 turns. On top of that, he's gaining the crit stars when he uses this one, and then on top of that his critical damage is getting increased even further. And then over here this is so synergistic, is AoE that's able to farm if need be, but also if you're using him against a boss or any sort of high difficulty content, have fun with all those crits. Imagine all the fun you could have with Romulus and Merlin. My goodness, that is going to be such a good time. Romulus is a very, very, very fun unit and someone I highly recommend rolling for, but his banner is coming soon, potentially coming in April of this year, in his own separate banner, Emperor Olympus. Look out for it. It'll be just him. You can't miss it. The cool thing about Romulus is the fact that everything is linked into crits, and he's able to start his own crit engine by himself, which is fantastic. But what if I told you that we can go even further with this next Buster Servant? Himiko! 5-star limited ruler. Himiko. Himiko is fantastic. She is a ruler that is very unique in her own rights, but also can be said to be best friends with Merlin. So let's talk about why. Minor note, her command card deck is quick, double arts, double buster. Keep that in mind. First skill, Shamanist Charisma B, increases party's attack for 3 turns, and also grants party 8 critical star regen buff every turn for 3 turns. Every turn for 3 turns, huh? So everyone gets 8 critical stars regeneration. Wow. Second skill, increases his own buster performance for 3 turns, increases his own damage against demonic enemies for 3 turns, and also grants self-invincibility for 1 turn. Automatically off rip, she's gonna give herself the buster performance, make sure she's alive, and for the minor niche, deals more damage to demonic enemies, varying character. Third skill, Oracle's Brilliance A, which charges own MP gauge by 30 to 50%, and also increases own critical star absorption and critical damage of buster cards for 1 turn. She's preparing for one hell of a strike. And finally, we have the Noble Phantasm, which is a Buster Noble Phantasm that doesn't do damage. Nightingale says hello. Increases party Buster performance for 3 turns, overcharges party's MP by 2 stages for 1 time for 3 turns, and it also increases party critical damage for 3 turns. She is a neutral beast, and she is going to be doing a lot of damage. You can see why I said she's going to be helping Romulus out quite a bit. Not only is she going to be providing crit stars on top of that, she also gives him the attack buff, and with the Noble Phantasm, also going to be giving him that buster performance and increasing party Noble Phantasm stages, as well as further increasing party critical damage for 3 turns. Himiko is a fantastic unit that will be coming out in October of this year with the 5th Guda Guda event. That event also features Saito Hajime, so I highly recommend that as a banner to roll for. But we're not done yet, because we got one more Buster Servant we need to talk about, because let's get real, this is one of the best sabers in this game right now. Ibuki Douji, 5-star limited saber. She is a buster based AoE servant, and look at the deck. 3 buster cards, and each buster hits 3 times. Let's jump into it, guys. First skill, physical strength and natural surroundings A+. Increases own attack for 3 times or 3 turns, and then charges on MP gauge. My hate for this type of skill, with the 3 times 3 turns thing aside, it is at the end of the day a battery. You're going to be using it for that anyway, so whatever. You're going to get your attack up for the Noble Phantasm. Now let's move on. Second skill, increases own buster performance for 3 turns, increases own defense for 3 turns, and then we gain 10 to 20 crit stars. We have our buster performance, we have a way to keep yourself alive, and we have a way to get crits going if we need to attack with normal attacks. What's his third skill? Defile Fingertips A, it seals one enemy's MP for a turn, then increases own critical damage, and then increases own damage against undead enemies for 3 turns. Very good for increasing own critical damage, especially with the fact you just got 10 to 20 crit stars in the previous skill. Mainly situational, since you're probably going to want to use that to seal an enemy MP if you're using your hurdle content that's going to require that. And of course, the extra niche, being able to use this against undead enemies, which take up this section of enemies here. On another note, her passive skills cover most of her card types, with Riding B+, and her own unique Buster skill, Dragonkind EX, which increases Buster performance by 12% and also reduces own damage taken by 200, but also increasing her own neutral damage by 250 with her own version of Divinity. But now let's talk about that Noble Phantasm Buster AoE, as I mentioned in the beginning. It ignores invisibility for 1 turn, which activates first, and it also deals damage that ignores defensive buffs to all enemies, and it, if they live, reduces their Buster resistance for 3 turns. Youch, that hurts. That means there's no way to get past this Noble Phantasm. Once it activates, it hits and nothing's gonna stop it. It deals so much damage, and if she has so many skills to help her get there. Just off the first and second skill alone, she has everything she needs. Give her some support, let's say a Himiko or a Merlin, and there you go, she's off to the races. Or with a certain Tamamo Veach that comes out in 2 years, you are all set. Ibuki Douji is very good. I absolutely love her, especially for farming. If you really like hitting things with Buster cards, Ibuki Douji is really good. Ibuki Douji comes out once more in Lost Spell 5.5. It's going to be for the second banner toward the end of November, so make sure you save your course for then. So we talked about Quick, we talked about Buster, but obviously we gotta talk about arts. And I know who you guys think I'm gonna talk about, but there's one person we gotta talk about first. That person comes out at the end of the year in December. Vritra! 5-star permanent Lancer, the only permanent unit on this list. She is the best arts AoE Lancer in this game. Let's talk about why. First skill, increases own arts performance for 3 turns, and also increases critical star absorption of arts cards for 1 turn. Very good, solid skill, self-explanatory. Second skill, increases party damage against divine enemies for 3 turns, but also charges her own MP gauge from 20 to 30%. Very good, enable looping. It also has a good niche against divine enemies, which happens to be a lot of people actually. Third skill is granting self-gust status for 1 time or 5 turns. It also charges own MP gauge every turn for 5 turns, between 5 to 10%. It also increases party MP damage for 1 time over 5 turns. So as long as you use her MP within 5 turns, you're getting this 10 to 20% MP up. Then we have her Noble Phantasm, which is an arts AoE Noble Phantasm that has a chance to seal their skills for 1 turn and reduces their critical attack chance by 20% for 3 turns, but also reduces their arts resistance for 3 turns. If they live, they are going to take a lot of damage. So you hear all these things, you're probably thinking, wow, that really isn't that impressive, but she is absolutely solid. For a permanent Lancer unit, she has the stats to back her up. First of all, it's a double quick, double arts Buster deck with good hits on the arts and quick cards, which are very important. And with her first skill, we increase that arts performance even further by 20 to 30%, and the absorption of crit stars for those arts cards for that 1 turn, 300 to 500%, mind you. And with the amount of hits and the amount of damage she is doing, she is a very good unit for arts. And as I mentioned before, she comes out at the end of the year for the 6th Christmas event. So look out for her there, but honestly, there is a reason why I talked about Vritra. Vritra on her own is very good, and you can definitely find strategies where you can use her, like with say a Tamamo, a Paracelsus, on Christian Anderson, the list goes on. But there's one unit that makes her absolutely fantastic, and you know who I'm gonna say. Artoria Caster, 5-star limited caster. If there is no other units you can roll for this year, Caster Artoria is that unit. Now some of you might not really understand why. If I don't have any arts units, why would I roll for her? She seems to be an art support from what you keep hyping up. I'm about to tell you why. First skill, Charisma of Hope, increases party attack for 3 turns, and it charges the party's MP 20-30%. Hello, that just did more than Merlin's skill. Second skill, Protection of the Lake A. This charges 1 ally's MP gauge and also increases party MP generation rate for 3 turns. It increases that ally's MP by 10 to 20%. Hello, you have 50% battery now. Third skill, Caliburn Sword of Selection. It increases one ally's arch performance for 3 turns, and increases their damage against threat to humanity enemies for 3 turns, as well as granting them invincibility for 1 turn. This is a 30 to 50% arch performance buff that lasts for 3 turns with no demerit. And then we get to our Noble Phantasm, which increases party's attack for 3 turns, removes party debuffs, but also as an overcharge, grants party anti-perch defense buff for an attacks for 3 turns. In the end is based off your overcharge. This anti-perch defense nullifies ignore invincibility and damage. This is a invincibility that's beyond invincibility. This means she's a unit that if you have extra levels and extra overcharge, you get benefit. If you put her at the end of an arch MP chain, you're gonna get 3 hits off of the entire party that just, you're taking no damage whatsoever. On top of the party attack up as well. She is literally the Scotty of arts, the Merlin of arts. You took Scotty and Merlin, combine them, put a saber face on them, make it arts, you got Artoria Caster. She's one of the best units in this game. Even if you don't have many arch servants, you can see her skills being useful for you, but she enables so much. There's now a double Castoria system, where having 2 Caster Artorias will allow you to loop very easily, especially because arts is just very easy to loop for to begin with. It's kind of what it's made for, but she abuses it. She gives it protection. And guess what? We have a lot of good arch support. We have Tamamo, for crying out loud. So you can even mix up having Artoria Caster and Tamamo together, or Artoria Caster and Waver, Artoria Caster and Paracelsus, Artoria Caster and Nero Bride. There are so many options that you have. With this unit, you have to roll for a unit. I say it again. Artoria Caster is the unit of 2022. Bar none, no argument, period. You can tell me in the comments and below who you're gonna roll for. If it's not Artoria Caster, I'm not gonna be mad at you. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. Artoria Caster is very good. But we got other units aside from the Ssr'S coming out this year. We have the Ssr'S, the 4 stars. We got quite a few that are very good. So if you want to know what I think you should roll for in that category, you definitely want to come over here and watch this video. I'll see you there.